A lot of people are upset about all of these images of rioters in Los Angeles waving the Mexican flag. If the protesters love Mexico so much, people are asking, why are they so upset when the US enforces laws against illegal entry? Now, imagine for a moment that a group of Americans, including myself, were in Mexico City and began throwing bricks at police officers, smashing store windows, setting fire to government vehicles, and waving the American flag. We would not walk away unharmed. And yet in Los Angeles, protesters did exactly that. They attacked law enforcement, blocked ICE agents, and vandalized public buildings.
They know how quickly we mobilize. That's why they're changing tactics. Because community defense works, and our resistance has slowed them down before. And if they're escalating their tactics, then so are we. When they show up, we gotta show up even stronger.
Do you think that President Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act?
Well, that is effectively a function of available resources. So if when they fully ramp up what they think is the optimum number of National Guardsmen, and if they still aren't quelling the violence, then yes, is the short answer, just as it was done in LA back in 1992. And so that's what that tool is for. And the president has made it clear that unlike his first term, he's willing to use it. I think we all take him seriously on that. He's already moved National Guardsmen in a way he did not during the riots in 2020. I can tell you, if you think of Portland, Oregon, where we had 340 officer injuries in the summer of 2020, 340 officers injured. And Governor Brown there would not bring in the National Guard, and President Trump didn't override it, as he has the authority to do.
I hear you, Ken, but you raised
several times.
You raised a very serious thing, so I just want to ask you. You said the Insurrection Act, it's really a matter of available resources. I don't know that that's how a lot of people would read it. Are you saying that it's really just a matter of if they don't have enough guard, then they can go ahead and deploy active duty military like these Marines have been readied, and that's okay because of the Insurrection Act?
That's exactly what the Insurrection Act says.
California is willfully ignoring them. California's left-wing politicians set this up. If California had long been cooperating and helping enforce immigration laws all along the way, this would not be.
It's not the whole state.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. So in this clip from CNN, we're going to watch this stunning segment. And it's going to be a two-part where in the beginning part, they're going to be shocked that the American people agree and support Donald Trump and his immigration policies and the raids that he's doing. Now, in the second part of the interview, or this segment here, you're going to have this gentleman right here. His name is Brad Todd. Tell these CNN panelists exactly why the raids are happening, and they cannot handle it, to a point where they actually cut him off. When he's explaining to them exactly what's going on and why things are going the way they're going, they cut him off. It is incredible. So let's not waste any time and get into this clip here.
That President Trump is getting what he wants from these clashes in Los Angeles over immigration and immigration raids. Why? Why does he feel that way? With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. So let's unpack that a little bit. The issue of immigration. How is President Trump seen as doing on that?
Yeah, you know, if we just take a look at the baseline numbers here, this is Trump's net approval rating on immigration. It's gone up like a rocket. Compare now versus 8 years ago during Trump's first term. Look at this. In his first term, Trump was way underwater at minus 21 points. But look at this. He's up over 20 points. Now, in the aggregate, he is in positive territory at plus 1 point on his net approval rating. Some other polls even have it a little bit higher than that. There is no issue on which Trump is doing so much better than he was in his first term, more than the issue of immigration. No wonder the Times has written up the way that that he is. Trump is begging for a fight on this because he knows what he's doing so far is working with the American electorate.
Where does immigration rank on issues for him? How is he doing compared to others?
Yeah, so I think what's so important is it is his top issue so far. And the reason it is his top issue is because take a look at the individual nuggets in here. Why are people approving of Trump on immigration, approve of these different immigration actions, while Trump's administration's program to deport those here illegally? Look at this, 54% approval. How about agents searching your hometown for those that they think are here illegally? Again, positive territory here, above 50% for Donald Trump. So it's not just on the broad issue of immigration where Trump is doing well, it's on the specifics. When you dive into the issues, Trump is above 50% and his actions are above 50%, at least with those most directly connected to what's going on right now out in Los Angeles.
So Donald Trump, the president, picking a fight on this, and to an extent, you see Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, a Democrat, and the California Governor Gavin Newsom pushing back. So what do voters see in terms of their perceptions of Republicans, the president, or Democrats, say Gavin Newsom, on this issue?
Yeah, the American electorate believe that the Democrats don't have a clue on the issue of immigration. I mean, you could just take it here. Closer to trust more in immigration, Democrats versus Republicans. Got 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of immigration. You see it here, CBS +6. You see it here, CNN +6. You see it here, Ipsos, even bigger, +19. No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans, the American public is with Donald Trump, and to a much greater extent than they were in term number 1. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration, it's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans. And that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight and eager for those scenes out of Los Angeles.
I was just going to use that word eager. This explains some of that eagerness to push forward ever more on this as it escalates. Harriet, and thank you very much.
The group chat, CNN politics senior reporter Stephen Collinson, Republican strategist and CNN political commentator Brad Todd, and CNN contributor Lulu Garcia Navarro. I was talking during the break about whether or not this is still an immigration story, sort of how we're thinking about this moment. Can I kind of open it to you guys?
This is a very perilous moment because what we're seeing here is a fight that President Trump wants to have.
Meaning with blue states.
With blue states, about immigration, about the rule of law and the way that he views it, and also using the threat of military force in a way that we haven't seen in this country. Federal military force. I mean, there's discussion of deploying Marines for what is a civil disturbance. This should be of concern, I think, to many, many people in this country. And so I think the context is that, yes, this is about immigration enforcement. Los Angeles is a city where 50% almost are Latinos. The people who have been protesting, peacefully protesting, I'm not talking about the violent protesters here. Violence should never be something that's condoned. But the people who have been peacefully protesting, sometimes they're first, second generation Latinos who are worried about this kind of immigration enforcement. Yeah. And so, you know, this is a complicated issue.
And something we heard earlier, I think in a piece of tape, was a protester saying every moment that we're out here, they're not, he said, in our communities doing raids, et cetera. Brad, what are you thinking?
Well, we got to this moment because California has a sanctuary policy. The state law forbids local law enforcement from cooperating with, or local government from cooperating with immigration enforcement. We have immigration laws that govern the entire land, and California is willfully ignoring them. California's left-wing politicians set this up. If California had long been cooperating and helping enforce immigration laws all along the way, this would not be.
It's not the whole state. You do know that some of this is jurisdictions. There are certain towns that do. Yeah, but there are certain towns that absolutely have cooperated with federal authorities.
Shouldn't they all?
You know, this is part of the issue that is always interesting here, is when Republicans want to talk about states' rights, it's about states' rights when it is something that they're interested in, and not when it is something that perhaps Democrats and their states are interested in. And so I think...
But we've all agreed on what immigration laws are.
Well, there's not a state We're going to talk about this more in the hour. I want to bring in Stephen, because there is something you mentioned earlier about militarization. We're going to come back to your point. But
yeah, so there you have it. And they do not go back to his point. You notice how they stopped her to save her, because the argument that she's making is absolutely idiotic. The only argument that they have is state rights, and states should have their own rights to be able to do what they want to do. And then they're going to bring up the abortion argument too, is what some people have done, is to say, well, if, you know, abortion is left up to the states, why can't this be the same exact thing? Well, that's because it is not a law. It is not a federal law. Abortion is not a federal law. It's up to the states, right? So same exact thing applies here, except the exact opposite. It is federal law. So every state has to comply. It doesn't matter if the states agree with it or not. It is a federal law, and all of the states have to follow federal law. Federal law supersedes everything. States laws, city laws, whatever, right? Federal law supersedes it all. So I love how she cut him off to make a point, which was absolutely idiotic. And then she got cut off and saved by the CNN anchor, right? Incredible. But he's absolutely right. See, these people talking about, well, he's picking a fight with blue cities. Well, he doesn't have to do that with red cities and red states. Red cities and red states are complying with federal law. When ICE comes in there and wants to deport convicted criminals and criminals that are in jail, they're not actively in the way, right? They're actually helping the federal agencies deport criminals, right? That's why they don't have to go do raids in red states, even in states like Texas, who experienced the brunt of the illegal immigration. Arizona, right? They're not having to do massive raids like this because they don't have sanctuary city laws, right? So just like Brad just said, if California was not a sanctuary city, and all of you other cities, y'all better be prepared as well. Chicago, New York, Denver, be prepared. If you do not comply with federal agencies coming in there to deport illegal immigrants that are in jail, you're also going to experience the same exact raids. So if you don't want them going up in your local Home Depots and picking up your workers, your slaves, then allow them to get them from jail. It's really that simple. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this video. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Hope you enjoy the content. Hit the like button. It really helps the channel out. And of course, if you are brand new, consider hitting subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.